Hello and welcome to all our viewers in Nigeria and around the world to Midday News on Global Television. We're live in the nation's capital, Abuja. I am Jumai Manson. Now the news in full. The Nigerian Labour Congress and Trade Union Congress says the federal government should address the recent electricity tariff hike. NLC President Joe Ajero said the strike has been what the organized labor has done is to relax the strike action for 1 week. In a communique issued after a joint National Executive Council meeting of the union, they said the demand for the reversal of electricity tariff hike back to 66 naira per kilowatt hour was part of the discussion. Nothing that they deliberated on the demand for the stoppage of the classification of electricity consumers into bands. The House of Representatives has expressed its support for the legal action taken by the federal government against the 36 states of the federation to enforce the autonomy of the local government. This was as the Nigerian Union of the Local Government Employees declared its readiness to aggressively mobilize local government branches to troop out en masse to loudly support the federal government. In the push for local government autonomy, the federal government has approached the Supreme Court with a suit seeking to compel governors of the 36 states of the federation to grant full autonomy to the local government in their domains. The ruling All Progressive Congress has announced that the planned electronic registration of its members nationwide will officially be flagged off today by its national chairman, Abdullahi Ganduje. This was disclosed in a statement issued in Abuja by the National Publicity Secretary of the APC, Felix Morka. Morka made it known that Ganduje would be accompanied by two serving ministers in President Bola Tinubu's administration and party leaders to the opening ceremony of the trainer workshop slated for Abuja Continental Hotel in the Federal Capital Territory. The Minister of Defense, Mohammed Abubakar, has assured officers and men of the armed forces of President Bola Tinubu's administration's commitment to equipping and training them to enhance combat readiness against insurgency and terrorism. In a statement from the Federal Ministry of Information and National Orientation, the minister stated this when he visited the Military Operations Theatre in Katsina, addressing Operation Hadi Daji at the 213 Forward Operating Base, Katsina. The minister acknowledged President Tinubu's significant successes in the fight against insurgency and related crimes. Regarding the recent incident involving the killing of soldiers in Abia State, the minister reassured the government's determination to bring the perpetrators to justice and prevent such incidents from happening again. The Deputy Inspector General of Police in charge of the Southwest, Abiodun Alabi, has urged police officers that in the discharge of their duties should always accord members of the public dignity and also respect human rights. Alabi made this known while addressing officers at the Ogun State Command of Nigerian Police Force in Eleweren, Abeokuta, Ogun State, during his one-day working visit to the state. The police boss warned that the authorities would deal decisively with any officer found trampling on the rights of the people. The Police Service Commission has announced the approval and release of the list of 10,000 successful applicants for recruitment into the constable and specialist cadre of the Nigerian Police Force. The Commission noted that to ensure fairness and justice in the recruitment process, it worked with relevant stakeholders including the Nigerian Police Force, the National Assembly and the Federal Character Commission. It added that it ensured quality in the spread of successful candidates across the 774 local government areas of the country. An appeal has been made to the federal government to make life affordable and meaningful to its citizens. The appeal was made by some Nigerians interviewed on the impact of the suspended strike action and their expectations from the federal government. Queen Agaba has more.
The impact cuts across board from political to economical, social. Literally everything is coming to a halt.
There's definitely the need for a review of how civil servants are paid. Not civil servants, even the entire citizenry. Government should review it so that Nigerians will be well paid, and then everybody should do their best in their corners.
A lot of people did not come out. Workplaces shut down. There's no light. There's little or no business is moving, and so it's really having a negative impact. The economy is at a very critical level and stage now. And then I expect that a lot should happen. If they resolve their differences, things will change.
The problem is not increasing salary. The problem is making life more affordable and meaningful for the citizenry. The more you actually increase price, the more you increase inflation. If we come to a point where we have something reasonable, but however, the social amenities that makes life easy for the citizenry is created, then we will have a problem.
Expressing displeasure at the impact of the nationwide strike on individuals and businesses, Nigerians have called on the federal government and the NLC to take decisive measure in reaching a compromise beneficial to the Nigerian workers. For Global Television, Queen Agaba reporting.
Former President Goodluck Jonathan has expressed displeasure over the high rate of electoral litigation in the country. The former president stated this during the inauguration of Delta State High Court Complex in Asaba, the Delta State capital, where he called for an improvement in the judicial electoral standard to address the increasing number of lawsuits by politicians who tend to manipulate the process after losing elections in the country. The Independent National Electoral Commission has extended the continuous voter registration exercise in Edo and Ondo states to June 9th. The Commission had earlier set June 5, 2024 as a closing date for the registration exercise, which started on May 27, 2024. During the period, INEC stated that the registration exercise recorded significant progress with 458 new voters registered. Earlier, the exercise had suffered some hitches in Edo State as flood on Friday, May 25th, ravaged the state headquarters of the Electoral Commission, leaving equipment and materials needed for the registration damaged. You're watching Midday News coming to you live from Nigeria's capital, Abuja. We're on Star Times channel 276. Kindly follow us on all social media platforms by using a Global TV engine at the handles now showing on your screen. When Midday News returns, organizations of petroleum exporting countries extend oil production cut. This and other more stories coming right after this break. Do stay with us.
Is the desk on Global Television?
Nigeria, come join Anthony Momadou on television's most compelling and facts-finding talk live show.
We are the because
That this country gets it right.
It's the Dex on Global Television, where we analyze and dissect storming issues and commentaries in the world's biggest black nation, Nigeria.
Who is being held accountable for this money?
The eyes have it.
We stay and decide policies and reforms on the Dex. Tune in Mondays to Fridays, 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. on Global Television. Let's stay on the Dex. You're welcome back, and if you're just tuning in, this is Global Television, bringing you live broadcasts of Midday News. Thank you for staying with us. Over now to our foreign desk, Israel's military says it has established the death of 4 more people abducted by Hamas. It says the 4 were killed while together during an Israeli operation in Khan Yunis in southern Gaza, noting that their bodies were still being held by the militants. President Joe Biden is expected to announce an exclusive order that will effectively shut down the U.S.-Mexico border to asylum seekers crossing illegally. The executive action would mark a significant attempt by Biden to address head-on one of its biggest political vulnerabilities just weeks before the first presidential debate with former President Donald Trump. Trump has made hardline immigration policies a cornerstone of his campaign. Still on, United States President Joe Biden has referred to his opponent and former President Donald Trump as a convicted felon for the first time. Trump was found guilty by a New York jury by falsifying business records to cover payments made to a porn star ahead of the 2016 presidential elections, making him the first American president to be convicted of a crime. Biden, who spoke with a small group of donors at the Frontiers in Greenwich, Connecticut, says for the first time in American history, the former president, that is convicted felon, is now seeking the office of the presidency. The U.S. president also described Trump's attack on the U.S. justice system as reckless, adding that the former president and his allies' unsupported allegations that the case was rigged were more dangerous. In business, the Presidential Fiscal Policy and Tax Reform Committee has unveiled plans to transition from monthly to daily disbursements to the allocation across the three tiers of government. This in a bid to revamp the Federation Account Allocation Committee disbursement mechanism. The committee's chairman, Taiwo Oyedele, disclosed this while speaking at a public consultation workshop in Abuja. Under the proposed reform, the Federal Account Allocation Committee will adopt a daily disbursement strategy, a departure from the traditional monthly allocation meetings. The chairman of the Dangote Group, Aliko Dangote, says international oil companies in Nigeria are not ready to sell crude oil to the 650,000 barrels capacity oil refinery. According to him, the international oil companies were used to exporting crude oil for foreign exchange, and they were not ready to stop. Dangote said, though the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited was doing its best to supply feedstocks to the refinery, the IOS wanted to sell outside the country. The Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries and its allies have agreed to extend its current oil output voluntary cuts until the end of 2025. OPEC disclosed this at its 37th OPEC and non-OPEC ministerial meeting in a statement released by the organization. He said the meeting was conducted to reinforce the precautionary efforts of OPEC plus countries aiming to support the stability and balance of oil markets. The chairman of the Presidential Tax and Fiscal Policy Reforms Committee, Taiwo Oyedele, says the proposed plan to increase the value-added tax rate from 7.5% to 10% will be implemented in phase. Oyedele stated that the VAT revenue sharing formula had also been reviewed to increase state collection rate from the 50 to 55%, local government areas to 35%, and reduce federal government rate to 10%. In the face of Nigerian struggles to stabilize its exchange rates, the Naira has failed to make the list of representatives' exchange rates for selected currencies for June 2024. Published by the International Monetary Fund, the list, which includes currencies from around the world, features several African countries such as the Algerian dinar, Botswana pula, Missourian rupees, and South African rand. In sports, Ademola Olajiri, Director of Communications, Nigerian Football Federation, has confirmed that the stranded Super Eagles players in Lagos and Abuja have arrived, Uyo capital of Akwa Ibom. It was reported that some of the Super Eagles players were said to have challenges joining the rest of the team in camp. As a result of the joint NLC-TUC strike, the striking union had shut down the country's airport on Monday, thus preventing some Super Eagles players who were supposed to connect flights to Uyo from Lagos and Abuja from flying. Nigerian Super Falcons star Jennifer Ochijeni has won the eBay MVP award for the best under 23rd player in the Women's Serie A. The Juventus star got the recognition given to the most outstanding young talent in the league. Ochejeni, who stated her youth career as Arsenal before having a short spell with 2 clubs in the U.S., arrived in Turin in January and hit the ground running. Victor Osimhen's 12 billion euros net annual salary at Napoli leaves in the balance his dream of moving to the English Premier League this summer. The 25-year-old has for the past 2 years been linked with Arsenal, Manchester United, Newcastle United, and Chelsea, who are no longer inclined to sign him due to his huge salary. Despite extending his contract with Napoli in December, Osimhen made it clear he would leave Diego Maradona Stadium at the end of the season. The former Serie A champion have also not hidden their desire to bid him goodbye sooner than later, hoping the suitor will offset the 130 million euro release clause, which they smartly inserted in his new contract. And that's it on Midday News, and it came to you live from Nigeria's capital, Abuja. Remember, we're on Star Times channel 276. Kindly follow us across all social media platforms by using the Global TV NG and the handles now showing on your screen. I am Jumai Manson. Thank you for watching. See you again. Good afternoon.